Oh, it is. It is a Friday episode. Yeah, Friday. We made it. The weekend. Busy sports weekend, by the way, coming up. Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Huge shout out to everybody watching us live on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Smash that like button while you're in here. Hit that thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube and hit that notifications bell as well so you know every time we are live, my friends. Already see some folks getting in on the live chat. The live chat is open as long as we're on. The live chat even opens before we start live. As soon as the video is created, you can live chat with us. Hello, Alex M. If you don't know, now you know. David says, Serenity now. He might be a little bit concerned, David, because we're going to talk plenty of Miami Heat on this episode. We are just several hours now away from finding out who the first round opponent is going to be. So we're going to let cocky Heat fan out to take a few victory laps, even though we haven't actually started the playoff series yet. That's going to be Sunday, 1 p.m. at FTX Arena. But we're also, and I think this is why David is concerned, because we are going to talk some Florida Panthers on this episode with our good friend David Dwork, who's going to talk about the incredible regular season that the Florida Panthers are having. They still have 9 games left, but they've got a 10-point lead for the division race. And to this point, 73 games in, best regular season the franchise has ever had. And we're also going to talk some Marlins with Joe Frisaro. Now, let's take the pulse of the Heat fan out there. Let me make this, let me enlarge this a little bit so it's easier to see the results. So tonight at, I think, 7:30 it tips off. You're going to get the final play-in game in the East. And whoever wins between the Atlanta Hawks and the Cleveland Cavaliers is going to be Miami's first-round opponent. So I threw it out there. Heat fans, who would you rather face in round one? The Hawks, the Cavaliers, or I had to throw it in, Heat in 4 no matter who. And, that's the leader in the clubhouse. 51.2% of the respondents so far. We're at almost 300 votes there. 51.2% say Heat in 4 no matter what. If I was allowed and able to vote on my own poll, that's what I would have voted for. And then it's basically a pick 'em between the other two. 24.9% say they would rather see the Cleveland Cavaliers. 23.9% say they would rather see the Atlanta Hawks. I'm kicking my feet up on the ottoman either way, right? Whether it's the Hawks or the Cavaliers, you have no excuse not to throttle either of those teams. Probably a sweep, a gentleman's sweep at worst. Now, if the Heat were to have serious trouble, like a 7-game series, or God forbid, a first-round upset against either of those teams, whoever takes the 8th seed, then you didn't deserve to win a championship anyway. And I said the same thing about Brooklyn. Had Brooklyn not won that game against Cleveland to start the play-in and then somehow ended up being the 8th seed instead of the 7th seed, I would have said the same thing. Okay, I'd prefer not to face Brooklyn in the first round, but if the Heat can't knock them out, they've got no business thinking they're a championship contender, or at least an Eastern Conference champion contender anyway. You've got to beat the teams in front of you. Now, and I like this. Isaac, this is the sort of energy we need in here. Isaac has guts. Heat in 3. I'm old enough to remember when they used to do 5-game first-round series. You guys remember that? I think it was like, I don't know, close to 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, when they made even the first-round series. They extended it to best of 7s. But, yeah, I remember when they used to do 5-game series. I even, remember the Heat getting swept by Charlotte 3 in a 5-game series, and that was really, really painful. I think that was around 2000, 2001, something like that. Baby Shaq 569 says, would rather play Atlanta because the Cavs' size and being able to play 3 bigs at one time will cause a problem. Bingo. Now, again, either way, the Heat should have no trouble. But if I really get to get greedy, and decide who I'd rather face, assuming Jared Allen would be back and healthy enough to play for the entire first-round series for Cleveland if they're able to get in, the Cavaliers have that length that makes things more difficult for Miami. I do believe matchup-wise, the Cleveland Cavaliers could make things a little bit more difficult for the Miami Heat than the Atlanta Hawks would. So I think that is the correct answer. Brooklyn Rob says, skinny mush is not as funny as fat mush, but congrats on losing 50. That's true, right? The people are always funnier when they're fatter. Kevin James, Jonah Hill. I mean, every time, like, and Jonah Hill is a human yo-yo because you'll see Jonah Hill, like, he'll make a movie in 2016 and he's fat. Then he'll make a movie in 2017 and the guy looks like he weighs 130 pounds. And then he'll be back to like 280 for the next one. It's crazy, but he's funnier when he's fat. Kevin James from King of Queens. He was really fat, lost a bunch of weight. Not as funny. So I apologize if it was more convenient for you when I was a little bit heavier. You know, when I was 247, I was funnier than now that I'm 197. But I try. I try to entertain the people anyway. And Brooklyn Rob, I'm so sorry. I say this to you and I say this to David as well, because I know you guys are both firm believers in the Donno mush. It's why I don't talk a lot of Florida Panthers on this show. And since I haven't talked a lot of Florida Panthers on this show, they're having one of the best regular seasons in South Florida history. We're going to devote some time to talking Florida Panthers on this episode. Oh, yes. Dave Dwork is going to join us, and we're going to talk some cats with him. So if the Florida Panthers go on to lose their next 9 games and they don't win the Atlantic, now they're already in the playoffs. They have clinched is the word that I'm looking for. So they're in the playoffs no matter what. But if they really tank it between now and the end of the regular season, you're going to know it's my fault for talking Florida Panthers on this episode. The Heat did practice today. Yeah, and by the way, if you guys haven't already, you need to follow our guy Brady Hawk from the 5 Reasons Sports Network, because he has been all over Heat practice. He covered it in person today. Let me see if I can pull up Brady's Twitter feed to read some of the highlights from today. He took some cool videos as well from Heat practice. Wow, this is really weird. When I start to type Brady Hawk into the Twitter search, one of the first options that popped up is Brady Potter OnlyFans. I don't know who that is, but I'm not interested in Brady Potter's OnlyFans. Now, if Brady Hawk started an OnlyFans and he posted like Heat breakdown videos, I would be into that. Not anything weird, but if he posted like Heat videos, then I would totally be all over that. So among some of the highlights from today, Eric Spoelstra was asked about whatever inconvenience it might cause in that the Heat aren't going to know their first round opponent until less than 48 hours before the game, right? Because, tonight, probably around 10:30, you're going to know who you face. And then Easter Sunday, 1 p.m., it's go time at FTX Arena. I mean, that's more of a disadvantage to the other team, like a lot more. I mean, to only have a day and a half turnaround, and obviously you'd rather give advantages to the 1 seed than advantages to the 8 seed, but Atlanta, Cleveland, whoever wins tonight, you're only going to have a day and a half, and then you've also got to travel down to South Florida against a well-rested Miami team. It's a big inconvenience. Now, there's a whole rest versus rust thing that comes in, okay? Because the Heat haven't played since Sunday, and even on Sunday, most of the important players didn't play. So they're extremely well-rested. Now, maybe Cleveland or Atlanta, they've got a little bit of a rhythm. They've got some adrenaline flowing. That's when the gentleman's sweep could come into play. Like worst case scenario, you get a really hype Cleveland or Atlanta team that they hit the ground running in game 1, and then the adrenaline dump and they gas out after game 1 and the Heat just take over. But, Spo said it's really not a problem having to prepare for 2 different teams, and it's not something that he's worried about. And, Spo is usually pretty honest about that. Let me pull up the tweet here from Brady so you guys can see the exact quote there from Spo, so I do not misquote the Miami Heat head coach. Spo says preparing for 2 teams isn't the tough part about this. He says, I think 80% of the work is already done. That's what Eric Spoelstra had to say. Now, another thing that we're going to be monitoring for the next 2 days, practice today, Bam Adebayo still in the COVID protocol. I think he's had COVID multiple times, but they're not worried about him getting cleared for Sunday. Barry Jackson, Ira Winderman, and some others had sent out pretty confidently today that he's not feeling any symptoms whatsoever, and that again they're expecting Adebayo to be cleared for game 1. So he's going to be full go. Now, in the meantime, and you love to see this, you talk about culture, you talk about next man up. even with Bam Adebayo unable to practice today, PJ Tucker kind of filled his shoes in practice and was playing really, really well and was really engaged. Folks, this is when, coming up, you're talking about the second season, the real season. Wasn't it Kyle Lowry who referred to the playoffs as the real NBA season? This is when you're going to get the best from people like Kyle Lowry, who was brought in for his championship experience, right? And him being tight with Jimmy also helped. But Kyle Lowry, the Heat went out and got him. He's got championship winning experience, was one of the centerpieces of that Toronto Raptors team from a couple of years ago. PJ Tucker was part of a championship winning team just last year. The Heat went out and got him. These guys are going to step up their game, become even more lethal, even more dependable, even more smothering defensively once the playoffs start. Jimmy's going to be dialed in. We get this from Store Brand Juice, who says Heat in 5. Heat in 5. Just don't break a big sweat here in the first round. And that was the big thing. That's why. Oh, Jack is taking it even farther. Heat in 4. Sweep. Let's get out the brooms, my friends. Now, that's the only reason why we preferred not to face Brooklyn. I would have been confident enough because Brooklyn doesn't defend. You can put up points on that team. I would have been confident enough in the Heat to eliminate Brooklyn in round 1. But KD and Kyrie would have actually made you break a sweat. They would have made you break a sweat in the first round. I do not believe Atlanta or Cleveland will make the Heat really even break a sweat coming up in the first round. So, yeah, hopefully Bam is good to go. Now, okay, the big question everybody is asking now that we're heading into the postseason, these moments are going to come up throughout the playoffs. No matter what, you're a team that wants to win the Eastern Conference. You're a team that wants to compete for a championship this year. You're going to get these in-game situations, my friends, where you're down 2 points, 3 points, under 10 seconds left. Heat have the basketball. Who's taking that final shot? Unfortunately, the Heat have been really bad in those situations. That exact scenario this year, Barry Jackson wrote a piece on it this week. In that exact scenario this season, Heat are down 3 points or less, 10 seconds left in the ball game. 1 for 12 is how they've shot. 10 seconds or left, down 3 points or less. The only guy to even hit a shot in that situation was Kyle Lowry, did it one time. Jimmy, I think 0 for 5. Tyler Herro, I think 0 for 4 in that situation. You got a couple of other misses mixed in there. 1 for 12 in those end-of-game situations. So the statistics, that's a difficult word for me sometimes, tell you that the Heat are in an especially bad situation. And yeah, man, I already see the name coming in on the chat. I wholeheartedly agree, especially if you need a three-pointer. If you need 3, even if you need 2, I think Tyler Herro, that's the guy. Statistically with the jumper, statistically with that offensive DNA, Jimmy Butler does not have a good track record in those spots. You're talking about needing to make the clutch jumper, game on the line, trailing late. Jimmy does not have a good track record there. Kyle's been a little shaky with those this year. I think Tyler Herro is the guy. I like this from Store Brand Juice. Says, Victor, take the shot. We got to get Victor in the rotation first, man. We got to get Victor Oladipo in that rotation. I'm wondering, and yeah, I agree. And I think most of the people responding to this are saying Tyler Herro is the guy that takes the shot. Alex M says, we've been so dominant, we haven't experienced those moments like that. Listen, I hope we're so dominant in the playoffs that it's like every game we're up 15 points with 3 minutes to go, and then it's like a 10-point lead with 30 seconds to go. We're not going to need to hit those. I would love that, but that's just not reality in the playoffs. And the Heat are on the easier side of the bracket too. That's the thing, and it's why, I put it in the headline, and I hope the headline for this episode doesn't turn out to be a complete and total mush, but I put Heat in 4. The NBA, I don't even remember what the full title was because I can't see it here. It's Heat in 4. NBA playoffs won't be a challenge until the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, you have in your bracket, you would have to, before the ECF, you would have to face either Philadelphia or Toronto, which the Heat would be favored in either of those series. I think, anyway. I think they'd be favored by me. Vegas, I don't have a fucking clue. Like, Vegas right now, guys, the Heat are number 8 in championship odds heading into the playoffs. Somehow, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Boston, and Milwaukee, but I'll give them that. I think Milwaukee should be probably higher than the Heat in the championship odds. But somehow, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, and Boston all have better odds to win a championship than the Miami Heat. The Heat have the 8th total odds in the NBA. Have we ever had a number one seed with this little respect? Like it's a great. I was guest hosting Tobin and Leroy this morning, and I was working with their producer Marcos Gonzalez, and he asked me that question on the air. Statistically, I don't have an answer for it, but has there ever a number one seed from either conference? And I get it, like Phoenix are favored to win the championship, deservedly so. Like the Phoenix Suns, if they don't win a title, it's a failure, right? You can't say that about the Heat. Like if the Heat get to the Eastern Conference Finals, if they get to the finals, even you say, oh, that's a really successful season, exceeded expectations. The Phoenix Suns, they're in it to win it. Like if the Phoenix Suns don't win the championship, then if they lose in the finals again, like their fans will say, oh, this was a disappointment. We should have won it. So they're favored, and rightfully so, the number one seed out of the West. But the number one seed out of the East, the 8th championship odds, I don't know if there's ever been, by the odds makers, a number one seed from either conference that's had this little respect from Vegas to go on and win a championship. Like this has got to be historically low for your Miami Heat that they have the 8th best odds. And if anything, listen, I know we talked with Ethan Skolnick earlier this week, and it's been kind of a running show topic this week. That's one of the big reasons why we're going to have David Dwork on in a few minutes talking some Panthers. Joe Frisaro from Man on Second Baseball is going to join us around 3:35, get his take on the Marlins. And I'm going to ask them, like for Dave, I'm going to ask him, this season, Florida Panthers hockey, is this clearly the best regular season the Florida Panthers have ever had? And tell me why. I'm going to ask Joe Frisaro. Obviously, the Marlins season is like 6 games in. They've only won twice. But I'm going to ask Joe Frisaro, what was the best regular season in Miami Marlins history or Florida Marlins history? But we asked Ethan Skolnick earlier this week, best regular season in Heat franchise history. And, I mean, it's got to be 2012, 2013, 27-game winning streak, 66 dubs, number one seed. They did go on to win the championship. That's not in the regular season, obviously. But telling you, like, that was the best regular season in Heat history 9 years ago. But at the same time, this regular season for the Heat, it's got to be up there. Not only were they the unexpected number one seed in the East, because odds makers had the Heat 4th, 5th, 6th seed. I thought I was being generous preseason when I said I think they can take the 3 seed. Like, I thought I was being homerish to say that 3 seed, okay? So they end up taking the number one seed in the East. And not only that, so much adversity this year. I mean, how many superstars did they have out with injury? And then Kyle Lowry had some of the personal issues later on in the regular season. And no matter who they had to play, G Leaguers, undrafted guys, everybody contributed except for KZ Okpala before he was shipped the hell out. Like everybody except KZ contributed. Gabe Vincent ends up being a revelation. Cody Martin is a revelation this year. Who else? Max Strus has been unbelievable. Omer, not quite as much, but I'm bullish on his future. By the way, Caleb Martin, I meant to say. Did I say Cody? Twins, whatever it is. So honestly, it's just got to be up there for the Miami Heat as one of their best regular seasons of all time, because they're not supposed to be here. Like, you talk about overachieving, outkicking your coverage. That's exactly what they've done. I like this. Take a little trip with me, says Donno looks like a piker from the movie Snatch. Let me bring on a very good friend of mine. It's just too bad we're not literally in the same room. Digitally, virtually, we're in the same room. But my guy, David Dwork from Local 10, covers the Florida Panthers like no other. How you been? It's been way too long since we've done one of our amazing lunch dates. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, we used to do the movie theater. We used to do the candy. Like, it was always food with us. Yeah,
I
it's
know.
there's like 100 miles of crazy drivers between us these days.
And Dave also, by the way, he does Chirping the Cats pod on Man Rush on 5 Reasons YouTube. He also makes appearances with Big O. So this guy he's talking Panthers left and right. I mean, Dave, We're almost at the finish line here. Panthers, they've already clinched the playoff spots, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And they're, 10 points in front in the division with 9 games left to play. And the thing about me, Dave, how many times have you had heart palpitations throughout this season? Because it's like every time the Panthers are down big, they come back and win games in overtime. It's happened like 5 times, like in the last 2 weeks. Like, what's it been like on this roller coaster with the Cats the last few weeks?
I'm honestly kind of numb to it at this point, Alex. I feel like the comeback Cats have kind of like, it's been a slow progression of how often it's happened over the last few years. Because it's not, this year it wasn't like a new thing. We'd seen the comebacks before. It's just like this year they've gone to like extreme like MTV Jackass type comebacks where like they've got to jump off the side of a building and kick themselves in the nuts and then go down by 4 and then they're gonna come back and excite the fans. And but yeah, I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I don't think they can really explain it themselves because they're frustrated that they keep falling behind the way that they do. But it's been pretty amazing just the way that they're so talented offensively.
Now, okay, what sort of postseason awards are you expecting? Because like I'm looking at Huberdeau, this guy, he's got to be taking home the Hart Trophy this year. Like, what sort of postseason hardware do you think the Panthers players may take home this year?
For Panthers players, I'm a little not quite very confident. Unfortunately, I do think Huberdeau is absolutely in the Hart Trophy conversation. I don't think he's going to win the Hart Trophy. I think it'll probably end up going to like Austin Matthews. Yeah, I know he's very deserving, but there's enough argument out there to be made against him. And then just kind of the way that the votes always seem to go. I'd expect more of a more traditional hockey market, big superstar kind of guy to win it than Jonathan Huberdeau. I do think that head coach Andrew Brunette has a legitimate shot at the Jack Adams Trophy for the best coach in the league. I think taking over a team the way that he did with the situation with Q and the whole resignation and basically the team, what I think they've like 45, 15 and 6, I think is their record since Brunette took over. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. And I mean, as a collective players group, they're trying to get the President's Trophy as the best team in the regular season. So, in terms of hardware, that counts.
So, okay, and the Panthers have the Winnipeg Jets tonight, right? Talk to me about your expectations for this game this evening.
I mean, look, I would expect the Panthers to come out with 2 points from when it starts to when it ends. What happens in the middle is anybody's guess. They could end up winning 5-0 tonight, or Winnipeg could come out. Winnipeg's a very desperate team. They're still hoping, clinging to some very faint playoff hopes. They're 8 points out right now of the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference, whereas, as you mentioned, the Panthers are currently 8 points up in the division. They're 6 points up in the conference, and they're just shooting for home ice. So I would definitely expect the Panthers win, but Winnipeg's going to be tough. They've got a great goaltender in Connor Hellebuck, one of the best in the game. So, and as we've seen time and time again this season, really, we've seen a lot of goalies kind of bring their A game against the Panthers. So it could be a tight one. I'm expecting a good game, but if I'm a betting man, I would not shy away from the Panthers with the spread. And as is generally the case with Panther games, usually taking the over, I think like 8 out of 10 is probably a pretty strong bet there as well.
Now, the Panthers, they only lose when I bet on them. And this is something our guy, Brooklyn Rob, is very aware of this. He says, and not only do I mush them when I bet on them, Dave, when I'm worried about tonight against Winnipeg. Thankfully, the Panthers are, they're relatively secure in their position, but I'm a little bit worried because Brooklyn Rob notices the trend. When I bet on the Panthers, of course, mush. When I talk about the Panthers on a show the day of a game, mush. Even a lot of those late comebacks that we talked about have happened in games where I've turned the TV off when they're down 2 or 3 goals. And then like I go out somewhere and then I get the notification on my phone, Panthers win it overtime. I'm like, what? Well, because I stopped watching. So yeah, if you guys are super sick and Brooklyn Rob, I will not bet on them. And you know what, Brooklyn? Good thing for you is I'm still broke for my 0 for 7 UFC night from a couple of weeks ago. So actually, that was just this past weekend. So I will not be betting on the Florida Panthers tonight. Now, you mentioned goaltending, Dave. How do you feel about the Panthers goaltending heading into the playoffs? Because we know how important that is.
Yeah, how do I feel about the Panthers goaltending heading into the playoffs? I feel uh, like I need some more fancy sauce with my chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
I there's there's only 9 games left in the regular season. I'm not super confident in Sergei Bobrovsky. I think I think in terms of like highs and lows, Bob kind of takes the cake with both. I think in terms of like who can be the best goalie, it's Bob for sure. I think when he's on his A game, he can be spectacular. But unfortunately, I think Bob also lets in some weaker goals, and he's just he's less consistent than Spencer Knight has been. I think in terms of stability, which with the Panthers team that's this good, I just want a guy that can be stable in the crease, and that's why I lean more towards Spencer Knight. But I think it's becoming clear as we've spoken to Andrew Brunette recently, and just kind of the way that they've been using Bob recently, that he's their guy and that's who they're going to go with when the playoffs start, for better or worse. Now, we can't have what happened last year, Alex, which is when they had the 3 goalies in the first round, and that was just a mess of a situation. Whoever they start is who they need to stick with in that game one. I think it's going to end up being Bob, just based on, again, what we're hearing from the head coach. My confidence in that is not super high.
You better
But
score
again,
a lot of goals.
yeah, they're a team that scores a lot, and look, we know how good Sergei Bobrovsky can be, and he is having his best year with the Panthers this season. You know, he's got 3 shutouts. If he wins tonight, I think he's either going to equal or break the record for wins in a season and home wins for the Panthers. So I mean, he's having a solid year. It's just, when you look at it under the microscope and you watch him every game and you see, the cheapies that get by. And kind of how everything gets magnified once the playoffs start. For me, it's a cause of concern.
Who poses the biggest threat to the Cats in the East? Is it our old friends in Tampa?
That's a really good question, Alex. And everything is kind of gotten thrown into the old blending machine here over the last few weeks, just because we've seen Tampa kind of take a crap. And they're bottoming out right now. Even Andre Vasilevsky got pulled last night for the first time in like 5 years. I think I saw was the stat. So Tampa, I don't know what's going on with them. Toronto is playing well. Carolina's not playing that well right now either. Boston, they've kind of averaged out a little bit. Toronto smoked the Capitals last night in terms of like a team that can give up goals. What Toronto scored, like 7 or 9 or whatever it was last night at home against the Capitals. So who do I not want to face? I mean, it's hard to tell. If the playoffs started today and it was the today teams, Toronto looks the scariest. I mean, Carolina looks relatively beatable. Tampa, as much as it's weird to say it, Tampa looks really vulnerable right now. Washington has not been a big concern to me just because they're not a very good defensive team, and it seems like the Panthers would be able to carve holes in them over a 7-game series. Boston is always a wild card just because it's Boston, and they get that Beantown juju that just seems to work.
They get
for those
that whole
teams
mass hole effect, and it's like their teams always seem to be in it in every sport.
I think right before the playoffs start, they all take a swig of water from the Charles River, and it just gives them this like impenetrable health.
They eat some of that lobster.
Yeah, but no, I mean, really, like Toronto looks like the strong team right now, other than Tampa, or other than the Panthers. But you really can't sleep on Carolina or Tampa, because even if they're kind of, not playing that great right now. I mean, look at last year. Tampa basically backed into the playoffs on one leg, and off they went. So, the East playoffs are going to be crazy, Alex. Nobody that's bad is getting in. There's no like traditional like 8th seed, 7th seed where like they maybe had a bad year but had good, were good at the end, or vice versa. But there's none of that this year. They're all good teams. It's just fortunate that the Panthers really seem to be the best of the bunch, and hopefully that trend plays out in the postseason.
Now, okay, last thing for you, and you're a good person to ask this because you've been watching the Florida Panthers since the beginning of the franchise, and we've been doing a series on the show this week, which was actually inspired by the Panthers, what they're doing this year. Best regular season teams in South Florida sports history, right? We've talked this week about the 2012-2013 Heat. We've talked about the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. We're going to talk with Joe Frisaro in a few minutes, get his pick for the best Marlins regular season team of all time. And again, think regular season, Dave, because I know we'd all think, 96, year of the rat. But a lot of that was the playoff run, right?
Yeah, no, they were just a 4 seed that year.
Yeah, that's right. So this year, is there any even other nomination? Like, is this year by far the best regular season in Florida Panthers history? And is there any other you'd put up?
Oof, I mean, the 15-16 year was fun because they had that big 12-game winning streak and they had Yager. And I mean, that at the time was probably the most exciting. I mean, the 11-12 regular season was fun only because it had been so long since they had been any good. They hadn't made the playoffs in over a decade. And as that year went on, you kind of had a feeling like they were about to make the playoffs. And I remember like the way it built towards the end was a lot of fun. But I mean, that's all like sidekick stuff compared to this season. I mean, this season is like 72 home run Barry Bonds steroids type season. Like this is like unheard of. I mean, the offensive campaign that this team has put together, like this is like a generational type thing. It's like only happens like once or twice every decade. It's pretty cool what they're doing, Alex. But yeah, this is by far, and it could very well end up being one of the best that they ever have. Because as good as they are and as stacked as they are to be a good team, for the next few years, it's remarkable what they put together this year.
Yeah, no, it really is great. And I didn't think you'd have to think a whole lot about it for best regular season for the Panthers, but I
thought you were going to ask me for non-Panther stuff. I was like trying to think of like other sports teams.
So here are the nominations we've had, which I think are all very appropriate. I mean, 72 Dolphins, they had to go 14-0 before they went 17-0. Even Alfredo Arteaga also kind of threw in the 84 Dolphins were a lot of fun when with Marino, I think in his second year. They were, I think, 14-2 that year. That was pretty awesome. I already mentioned 2001 Canes and even the 86 Canes, just regular season with our guy Dan Cilio on the defensive line. That was an incredible regular season team. And I mentioned Heat.
That was the Penn State year, 2013. Right?
84. Yes, 86. Yeah.
86. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about maybe not the best in terms of like wins and losses, but like in terms of like just amazing, awesome, fun, great season? That was a good regular season. What about the 2008 Dolphins?
Yeah, that was the Wildcat. I mean,
because they win like 11, 12 games that year. Yeah, that was the Wildcat year.
Yeah,
but they won one game the year before.
Yeah,
nobody was thinking anything for the Dolphins, and then they come out and they have that crazy Wildcat, and they won all those games. I think they won like 8 out of 9 at one point that year.
They beat the Jets. Fun. They beat the Jets and Brett Favre the final week to keep them home.
Yes, to clinch the division.
Yeah, it's a good nominee. It's not going to win, but it's a good nominee.
It's got to be at least on the list.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Well, thank you so much, sir, for taking the time and enjoy the Cats game tonight.
Hey, man, anytime. It's great to see you. Even
great to see you too. Yeah. Even though I've thoroughly mushed the Florida Panthers, we're going to hopefully I don't mush the Marlins. The Marlins won last night. It was a great crowd. But before we bring on Joe Frisaro, who's going to join us in just a second, I want to remind you guys, best ways to support the show. Easiest way to do it, costs you nothing. Smash the like button and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. Just hit that thumbs up button. The more likes we get, the more people are going to see these videos. It's just how the YouTube algorithm works. I'm not going to pretend to explain it. Google knows everything, and more likes we get, more people watch these videos. Very, very easy. If you do want to throw us a little something in the tip jar, the super chat is open. You don't have to super chat. It's not mandatory. The regular chat is free. If you want to throw us, a few bucks in the tip jar, that's awesome. But mainly, guys, please support our sponsors because they do an awesome job. And we got a lot coming up with the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. The Quarterdeck is our official sports bar here on Donno Daily. We're going to be out there a week from Sunday. We don't know who the opponent is yet, but for Game 4 of the first round of the NBA playoffs, the Heat will be on the road. We will be watching that game next Sunday at the Quarterdeck Davy. How good is that? Come out and say hi to us. I'll be out there. Ethan, I'm sure Alfredo Arteaga will stop by. He's at a lot of these events. I'm gonna try and strong arm every personality to come out there. So come out and see us at the Quarterdeck. Enjoy the ice cold drinks, the cold beer, 2-for-1 happy hour. That's all day, every day. That never ends. Guys, the food is fantastic. The seafood is so fresh. The sandwiches and burgers are awesome. The Quarterdeck is a great place to watch a game. They got the TVs covering every wall. They have every UFC fight for zero cover charge. So find the location nearest to you and check out their menu before you go at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. And our official sportsbook partner. Oh, my friends, it's going to be a big weekend. I don't think I'll be betting on the Canes spring game, but between Marlins games, Heat playoffs opening up, the rest of the NBA playoffs opening up, Spence, Ugas this week. We got UFC fights, Bellator fights as well. Guys, it's going to be Panthers games, betus.com. Full service online sportsbook, fully available in Florida. What are you waiting for, guys? They have props, money lines, parlays, live betting on everything, betus.com. And they're America's favorite sportsbook because they offer you the best bonuses in the industry. You can get the best bonus in the gambling space with our code WORD. When you sign up at betus.com, sign up with our code 5RSN125. That's 5RSN125. Write it down if you don't think you're going to remember it. Because when you sign up with our code 5RSN125, they give you a 125% sign up bonus. If you deposit $100, they're going to give you money. They're going to give you $125 on top of your deposit, and you can get through a nice weekend with that bonus money. You can deposit $1,000 and get $1,250 of free play money. So you want to sign up today with our code 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. I'm hoping the Marlins can follow up yesterday's dub with another. Our good friend Joe Frisaro from Man on Second is with us. So Joe, you're on location at Lone Depot Park, correct?
Yeah, that's why you got the funny background. I'm in the press box trying to pick a quiet spot, but you're talking about betting, man. I just bet the strikeouts over and the runs under. I like Pablo Lopez tonight and Zach Eflin for the Phillies. Those are two really good pitchers. But a lot of energy here last night, Alex. A lot of excitement, and it's good to be here. I'm looking at the baseball field right over my computer and talking to you. So what more can we ask?
Talk to me a little bit more about last night. Because honestly, when I was looking at some of the pictures and I'm watching the game on TV, I wished I was there. Over 31,000 reported attendance. And it was like a delayed home opener, right? The season started a week ago, finally get the home opener last night. It looked like an awesome crowd. And then you get the win on top of it, which is always great for the fans. What was that experience like last night?
Yeah, it's just, again, this market's been tested and it's been through a lot. So there's always a wait and see aspect to the Marlins. But I really do feel there's a generation now that grew up, a lot of 23 to 25-year-old types who are now in the workforce and have some spending, and they've been lifelong Marlin fans. And I think, it's part of my optimism. I think that, they're starting to make their presence known. You see a much stronger social presence on Twitter. It's not the biggest market, but it's certainly vocal. And so, you never really know, are people going to show up? I literally didn't know there was going to be 15, 18,000, 20, 25,000. I wasn't anticipating over 30. It holds 36. So, it didn't sell out unless, I don't know if they announced sell out and that was the actual, but still close enough to that bar. And now it's Friday and you hope they could get 20. And I'm not sure they're going to make it, but that's the thing. You want to see the people come back, and obviously winning's going to be part of that. And I think this team has a chance to be solid. I think we've kind of gone down that road. I don't think it's a special team. I think it's a good, solid roster, which is a fringe last type of playoff type team. But there's more in there than what we saw on the West Coast to open the season.
Right. By the way, I want to send a huge thank you to our guy, Raygruyeon. Thank you so much. Howdy, Ray. Thank you for the super chat. He says, can't wait for the Heat to shut up all the pundits that have no clue about our team. And I want the Marlins to shut up some pundits as well. Thank you so much, Ray, again, for the donation. And Joe, I wanted to ask you, you may have overheard when I was talking with Dave, and I mentioned to you via text, we've been doing a series this week about best regular season teams all time in South Florida. We have some strong nominees on the Dolphins, the Heat. For the Panthers, it's got to be this year, right? Yep. And now the Marlins over the years, they had a couple of very fun postseason runs. I mean, I remember 2 championships very closely. Is there a regular season, though, a regular season or 2 you would single out as best regular seasons in Marlins history? Don't
you just have to link them to the 2 title years, though? I mean, I was trying to think there's no way around it. You had in 97 won 92 games, and in 03 won 91 games. And the thing with the 03, which the team I directly covered from start to finish, that team was 10 under at one point. They didn't really kind of hit their stride till late May, and they were more of a Cinderella story. the 97 team, if I would have to give them overall balance, because they got out of the chute really well, like a very fast start. And, they had that remarkable spring training. They were built with free agents that came in, like Lou, and, they had Bobby Bonilla, and they were kind of built to win. The 03 team kind of was young. They kind of brought Pudge in. No one really knew what to expect. They brought Jack in and a bunch of young players, the Mike Lowells and the Derek Lees and Josh Beckett's all just grew up before our eyes. So I'd have to give the nod to best season to 97. Now, I was thinking there's other years with a lot of memorable moments. We had 2017 with Stanton hitting 59 homers, being the MVP, the only MVP in Marlins history, but that was a sub 500 team. That wasn't a season. That was, sadly for Marlin fans, and in the 20 years I've covered, I've covered more of spectacular seasons per player. There's always been something, and not just every team's going to have somebody, but I've been blessed to have, whether it was Jose Fernandez being the rookie of the year, or Stanton being the MVP, D. Gordon having that remarkable 15, being a batting champ, and the 60 stolen base. It's like there's a lot of that in Marlins history, which led me to, I don't remember the year, but this year, I think it's, if you want to go best individual seasons, obviously Marino setting the record at the time with the 48 touchdown passes back in the early 80s. But I thought Pavel Bure's like 50 or 60 goal season at the time was so underappreciated at the time. So that's just kind of, if you ever go that, kind of do a deeper dive into that year, because he scored like 60 something goals and was really exciting. I did a lot of freelance work at the time and covered a bit of Panther games, and that stood out when you were having the conversation with David. I immediately thought of that year. I don't remember how the year played out for the Panthers, but that individual accomplishments, that certainly, you want to go down that road, there's a lot of fun stuff, because Stanton's 2017 would have to be up there. Gary Sheffield from the Marlins, 1996 season, I think it was, when he hit the 42 homers and 120 something RBIs, was a remarkable player that year. Those are some of the greatest individual years in Marlin history.
By the way, if people don't know already, Joe Frisaro is the king of barbecue. And I was trying to get this shared on my screen, but I need to change some like privacy setting to come from my text messages. So I want to see if people can see this on the phone. It's not going to do it justice here.
Yeah. I see it. That's what I sent you.
You sent me this picture last week of short ribs. Like I was like following the smell and like driving towards your house. Like I can smell it from outside. That looks so. Have you grilled anything else lately?
Well, I told you. I think that was my opening day barbecue, because they're on the road, and the beauty of what I'm doing now is I don't have to travel, which is a blessing, because I did way too many years of that.
So in baseball, it's a lot of travel.
Yeah, it was such a great. I loved every minute at the time, but I followed that up on Sunday or the next day with ribs, and there's a chicken I put on there for my wife to bring to work later in the week. But I don't know if you got the view of that, but those are some St. Louis ribs. So I made that a barbecue baseball weekend. It's a lot of fun.
That is tremendous. And thanks, by the way, also to AZ Cards for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And see, that's smart, because if you want to talk trash about the Heat, if it's not a super chat, I might just ignore it. But if you're going to talk, do it on a super chat. Says he's a Suns fan. Suns would clap the cheeks of the Miami Skeet in a 7-game series. And you know what, Joe? I'm a Heat homer. I think the Heat can get through the East, but I will admit, if they do get to the finals, I would consider that a blessing, because they probably would get clapped by the Suns. The Suns look incredible, so I'm not even going to talk trash from a Heat side on that.
Yeah, play the underdog. Just talk up the favorite. Say we'll be happy to compete and see what happens. But
exactly.
Yeah. But with the Marlins, like I said, this team's going to pitch. They're going to just have to learn how to win. They're going to play a ton of close games, and like tonight, a good pitching matchup. Real Muto isn't in the lineup for getting the day as a catcher, so that Phillies lineup's imposing, but a little less without him. And I think Pablo could kind of navigate the bottom of their order, but the question is, are the Marlins going to hit? And the guy I want to see hit higher is hitting ninth. And I think, Jazz hitting ninth is going to be a topic until he's not hitting ninth. I think a lot of people are going to be kind of passionate about that one.
That's a great way to set the table. Joe Frisaro, tell people where they can find all your work and everything you and your crew are doing on Man on Second. And Man on Second, I will add, is a proud partner here of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So we're happy to have you guys a member of the family.
Yeah. At Man on 2ND is the Twitter. The podcast stream on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel, as well as the at Man on 2ND Twitter account. And I always post them over on the Facebook and so forth. But the guys, I was here, so my Mike and Eric are the guys, are my co-hosts. They did the show last night. I just started up. It's not a Man on Second property, but I'm doing with David Fernandez. We're doing a prospect podcast every Wednesday. We're aiming for. We debuted that this week to a tremendous response. David's right up there in St. Augustine, so he's a short drive from Jacksonville, where the Marlins AAA team is, and I have access to Jupiter and a lot of the Marlins, and I have a billion scout friends and people in the sport who are telling me everything I need to know. So we're taking pride to having the best prospect show. It's right here on the 5 Reason channel. We'll come up with a fancier name for that, but we're going to be on the channel 4 or 5 days a week, and being on with you, Alex, is always a blessing, and I love doing it, and get you on my show at some point. But in the meantime, I always appreciate these, and like I said, the backdrop usually is a little better, but dealing with the blue and the reflections and the bad lighting, but I hope to give you at least some good information.
Well, what we have to figure out, and I understand probably why you didn't do it, because there's always like a lighting thing for like for your face, so I could see you. But if we can like find a way to get you like a backdrop where we can like see the diamond, I think that would be really cool. So I'm going to put you to work next time you're at the park. You got to find an angle.
I do have a Man on Second like banner that I just have to find out how to put it. Yeah, bring it on the road. So I got to figure out the best place to put it. But fun, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Always. Thank you so much. And keep up the great grilling as well, Joe. We'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it. I'll bring some in.
Oh, yes. I love it. What a great guy. And he's been providing excellent Marlins coverage for years. You guys know that. By the way, I love how we got the Heat fans clapping back and forth with the Suns fan in the chat. And Alex M., thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, Suns got clapped by the Bucks. Good luck versus the Warriors. I love it. Oh, I think you're right. Joe needs to buy the Cajina. I need one of those as well. Like, I want to go like, I mean, I'm a gringo, but I want to go like the full Cuban backyard setup where I've got the pig just roasting. I got to go full Cajina as well. Tremendous stuff. Good afternoon to GA Kane fan. And I love, listen, AZ, you're welcome here every day, my friend. Good sense of humor, always good banter. He says, I'm coming back too when we win the title. Listen, honestly, if the Suns do end up winning the chip, I wouldn't complain too much, because there are a lot of teams in the NBA that I despise. The Suns are not one of them. I despise the Lakers. They didn't even get into the playoffs. Losers, absolute losers. A lot of teams in the East I despise. Despise Boston. Can't stand them. Obviously, I despise the New York Knicks, but sometimes I forget they exist. They're so irrelevant. I don't like the Brooklyn Nets either. They don't even have real fans, is the crazy thing. Like, if you've ever met a Nets fan, you've met a liar. They don't have real fans. Like, they either grew up Knicks fans and they just decided, like, hey, at least one of these teams gets into the playoffs, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. Or they're just some random dude that's like, oh, I like KD. I like Kyrie. I'm weird. Like, Kyrie, I'm going to root for the Nets. Like, they don't have real fans. When the Heat go to the road at Barclays, what do you hear at that arena? You hear "Let's go Heat" chants. It's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing for them. Opposing teams take over their arena. The Orlando Magic, same thing. I mean, I don't really hate them, because, the Magic have only been relevant really one time in history. They were relevant when they had Shaq and Penny. They did get to the finals that one year with Dwight Howard, but that was like so fluky that you didn't even really take them. Like, the Orlando Magic, not a serious franchise. But yeah, when the Heat go on the road to the Magic, everyone in there is a Heat fan. Like, they don't even have real fans there. What other teams do I especially hate? Let me think about that. I mentioned Boston already, right? I don't really have any feeling one way or the other about the Wizards and the Hawks. I mean, they're in the Heat's division, so, obviously I don't like them, but I don't really hate them, kind of neutral on them. Honestly, if there's one team, I would never say I root for another team. I'm a one-team kind of man, I think is what I meant. I'm a one-team kind of man. So, like, the Miami Heat are the only team that I root for in the NBA. I don't hate the Raptors as much as I hate. Like, I respect the Raptors. When they won their title a few years ago, I thought that was a great story. They're always a well-managed, well-coached franchise. Coach Nurse does a really good job. Like, I really respect the Toronto Raptors. The San Antonio Spurs, I despise. It's such a pompous franchise. Oh, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I hate them too. I hate them. Luckiest fan base in the world, right? Just because they got 2 stints with LeBron James only because he felt guilty because he was born like 40 miles outside of the city. So he was drafted there, didn't win squat there the first time. The only reason why he came back was he felt guilty because it's near his hometown. So those fans felt like they were entitled to something. Oh, I hate the Sixers as well. Thank you, Remy. I forgot. And I hate the Sixers as much as anybody. I don't know how I forgot to mention them. I despise the Sixers. I hate their fans. I hate their city. I don't even like cheesesteaks that much. Honestly, people are always like, hey, bro, you want to get the authentic Philly cheesesteak. You got to get it with Cheese Whiz. You telling me that 40-cent imitation cheese is the best way to get a cheesesteak? The best cheesesteaks come from outside of Philadelphia. The best cheesesteaks are the ones with gourmet cheese on them. Philadelphia is an absolute joke. I do like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's the only thing even associated with Philadelphia that I enjoy. Other than that, not a fan. Not a fan. Remy says, how can you hate the Spurs? I just do. They rub me the wrong way. San Antonio is an overrated city. I don't know. I think it was the 2 straight series against them. It was a rivalry. It stirred up something in me. I don't like the Spurs. Oh, Brooklyn Rob, thank you so much. He said, would have been more. Oh, thank you so much. But he says, I had to hire the Santeria priest to remove the mush that you put on the Panthers today. You know what's funny? True story. I actually personally know 2 Santeria priests. One of them is a priestess. One of them is a priest. I know them personally. And even they can't help me, Rob. So good luck to you, man. But even the reverse Santeria is not strong enough to wipe out my mush. Cheese talk suddenly, says David. I'm just saying, man, Philadelphia doesn't even make the best cheesesteak. It's an embarrassing city. Really is. I think he was talking. I wasn't sure if he was talking to me or to. I think he's arguing with Alex M. When I see at Alex on there, I'm like, what is he saying about me? Now he's talking about Alex M. Guys, I want to remind you. You know where they actually have a good cheesesteak? Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Way better than in Philly. The Quarterdeck is an awesome spot. The sandwiches and burgers are so good. I love that French dip sandwich with Italian beef and cheese. So good. It's a gourmet sandwich at an affordable price. Something I don't talk about enough with the Quarterdeck is the side order options are unreal. You can get with your sandwich, you can get regular fries, curly fries, sweet potato fries, loaded baked potato, macaroni and cheese, broccoli, if that's what you're into. I have been eating a lot of broccoli lately because I've dropped 50 pounds in the last 6 months. Broccoli's been a major food group for me. So many side order options. Everything's delicious at the Quarterdeck. The seafood is great. Listen, if God forbid we don't have a good sports weekend coming up, you can knock down 2-for-1 happy hour. You can forget about all your problems with the 2-for-1 drinks that are always flowing at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. We're going to see you out there, by the way, a week from this Sunday for Game 4. So that would be April 23rd. Or no, sorry, that's Saturday. April 24th, we will see you out there, which is also, I'm looking at my calendar app right now, that's also Orthodox Easter. So you can celebrate second Easter and Heat Game 4 with us at the Quarterdeck Davie location. So come out there, Come out there and see us Sunday, April 24th. We're going to be at the Quarterdeck Davy watching Heat versus whoever. I don't know if it's Atlanta or Cleveland yet. One of those two. We'll be watching Game 4 at the Quarterdeck. I'll be out there. Ethan, Alfredo, the whole 5 Reasons crew. We're going to try to get Brady Hawk out there because everyone wants to meet Brady. So we're going to have a good time. If Brooklyn Rob comes out there, I'm going to bring your gift card that I owe you for like the last 6 months. So come out and see us. And guys, make sure you sign up at our official sports book. If you want to bet on the game this weekend, you want to bet on your Miami Heat, want to bet on some baseball, be like Pete Rose, bet on baseball. A lot of fights this weekend, boxing and MMA. You can get some action on betus.com. Full service sports book, check. Available in Florida, check. You can use all the services in Florida. They even have a full casino on the site. You can play blackjack for real money. Sign up today with our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. Do not forget our code, because that gets you the bonus, and it gives us credit for the referral. 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. And we also have an official fantasy sports provider, Daily Fantasy. Guys, it's so much fun at Prizepix.com or the Prizepix mobile app. Prizepix, it's you versus the numbers. We have a code for that as well. 5, F-I-V-E. They're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Guys, at Prizepix, it combines my love for parlays and daily fantasy. You simply select 2, 3, or 4 players and predict if they're going to go over or under various fantasy projections and stat projections, and you win real money. You can get 10 times your money by getting 4 predictions correct. So make sure you sign up, prizepix.com or the Prizepix mobile app. There's so many different fun games and contests on there. Just make sure you use our code 5. That's F-I-V-E at prizepix.com. Let me throw some shout outs before we get out of here for the week. And I will also implore you for Miami Hurricanes fans. So we got the spring game tomorrow. If you haven't already, please subscribe to another broadcasting venture that I'm a part of, and that is Locked On Canes. You probably heard of the Locked On Podcast Network. I host the daily Miami Hurricanes podcast, Locked On Canes. We normally put out episodes. We keep doing Monday through Friday. We had a new episode today, but we're going to be doing a special episode tomorrow because I'm going to do about a 15, 20-minute post-game wrap-up of the spring game tomorrow, University of Miami spring game at Drive Pink Stadium. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On Canes and get my coverage of the spring game. I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this. It's true. I'm actually more excited for the Miami spring game than I am for Heat playoff game 1. It's very simple. The Heat are going to have 16 playoff wins coming up. They're going to go foe. We're going to see them play at least 16 games of playoffs. I only get to see Tyler Van Dyke one time before September, and that's tomorrow. So I'm more excited for the Canes. Get to look at Cristobal out there patrolling the sidelines. See Jason Taylor out there, Josh Gaddis, Ed Reed's going to be patrolling. I am pumped for the Miami spring game. Foe. And now David says, Donno, stop mushing. Everyone's going to lose this weekend thanks to me. I've hyped up every local team. Somehow the Canes are playing against themselves. They're still going to lose somehow. Is how bad I am. Don't sleep on Miami basketball too. Yeah, the Hurricanes basketball, they absolutely. Or no, did you mean baseball? I mean basketball, they finish up. The baseball team is, I know that they lost to Virginia Tech, but that snapped like a 14-game winning streak. The baseball team is absolutely legit. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun. Thank you so much to AZ Cards, Phoenix Suns, On God. Thank you so much, David. We always love seeing you in here. Sorry for mushing everybody. Remy, thank you so much for getting in. Shake Money, always love seeing Shake in here. I know Shake's been listening to Locked On Canes. And also on Locked On Canes, we will also be adding a YouTube channel very soon for that. They're working on all my graphics. So we're going to have that probably at some point next week, I think. Comedian See No Evil says the loaded nachos are madness. Oh, are we talking about the quarterdeck? You know what? If you are, it's funny you bring that up. I don't think I've had their nachos, which is crazy because I've been to the quarterdeck 100 times. and I don't think I've tried their nachos. So I'm gonna have to dial those up next week. I'm gonna make sure because I've been very good dieting for 6 months. I'm gonna use my cheat day next Sunday at the quarter deck. I might have to dial up those nachos, bros. I love that. Yeah, the calamari's good too. Let's see who else. Alex M. Thank you for getting in today. I missed you though. Did I see you in the live chat last night on 5 rounds? Because usually Alex is prolific in there. I know Tony 2 times, Trevor Gaffney were in the live chat. I think Alex might have had something to do last night. I usually always see Thursday nights at 6 p.m. We do combat sports talk on 5 Reasons YouTube, and I usually see Alex M in there. I don't think I saw him in there yesterday. Who else? Oh, thanks again for all the super chats. Brooklyn Rob, my guy. Spent a lot of money on the Santeria priest. I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball. If I had $1 million, well, I'd spend it all if I could find my Heina and that Sancho that she found. Well, I pop a cap in Sancho, and I don't know if I want to sing the rest of it. I feel like I could get canceled for the rest of those lyrics. That was Sublime's words, not mine, guys. Let's see who else. Who else is in? G.A. Kane fan. Hello, hello, hello. I know I already shouted out Alex M, but thank you so much for the super chat. Take a little trip with me. Thank you so much, Joe's got to get that cachina. Roderick Tyrone, thank you. He's obsessed with the Heat Mafia. Well, yeah, I mean, if he's talking about our guy, the Suns fan, he's so obsessed with the Heat Mafia, he comes into live streams that are talking about the Heat so he can trash us. That's steady. Now here, okay, if you guys want to be, and honestly, this is badass from AZ Cards Suns guy. And the super chat can't thank you enough. And it's just cool you're in here. So if you guys want to be as cool as this dude, you know what you need to do. You need to find the YouTube channels that talk about the Phoenix Suns. You need to go troll them the way this guy's trolling us. You want to, I don't know, karma. What is it? Is that karma? Would that fall under karma? Just go harass them. I love it. Let's see who else. Jacob, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you didn't jinx the Panthers. I probably did already. It's too late. It's too late. Willie Alex Warrior Molina, thank you so much. Says, sorry, I like ball, but love your show. Why are you saying sorry? That sounds like a compliment. I'm trying to figure out where does the sorry come in? I don't understand. Like, I'm really sorry that I complimented your show. You don't have to apologize. Bilal, thank you so much for tuning in. Jack, thank you. Even though it's missing a couple vowels, I think Jack Dennis is this person's name. It's a very odd way to spell that. Store Brand Juice, thank you so much. Let's see. I'm really struggling with the shout outs today. You know what I think it is? I didn't sleep a whole lot because I was up at like 4:30 this morning to host Tobin and Leroy. So it's like I got the bags under my eyes. And I've had like 4 double shots of espresso today. It's probably too much. Probably. Baby Shaq, thank you so much for tuning in. Isaac, thank you so much for partaking in the chat. And I think that might be it, unless I skipped somebody by accident. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Oh, and I almost missed this. Super chat. Shake Money. Thank you so much. Even though he's a Gator fan. Gators, no Canes. Shake, I can't thank you enough, my friend. Let me make sure. I think I got all the super chat shout outs. Shake Money, you are awesome. Okay, so Shake Money, he was saying, no, he does not listen to Locked On Canes, which makes sense because he's a Gator fan. Why would he listen to Locked On Canes? That's a fair point. Kent, thank you so much for getting in. All right, we will talk to you guys again Monday. Should be 2 p.m. on Monday. We will chat with you guys then after what's hopefully a really, really fun sports weekend. We will talk to you then on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Hold on. Looking for the outro. Where is it? Here we go. See ya.